Did you know that 58% of all adults in the United States are taking prescription medications regularly? And just like we've been reviewing in earlier classes, the cost of medications is growing faster than any other aspect of healthcare. Welcome to Healthcare 101. I'm Professor Sean. Today we're going to be asking the question, will prescription costs ever go down? More than 3 in 4 adults in the United States think the cost of prescription drugs are unaffordable. And nearly 1 in 3 adults say they haven't taken their medications as prescribed due to costs. In 2019, the United States spent more than $1,100 per person on prescribed medications, whereas comparable companies spent around $550 per person. This includes spending from insurers and out-of-pocket costs from patients for prescription drugs filled at the pharmacy. While some may think this is due to too many patients taking name-brand drugs, that isn't necessarily the case. Currently, over 90% of all prescriptions are generic. However, this 90% only accounts for 20% of the total spending on medicines. The problem seems to come from the 10% of prescriptions that are brand name and not yet available as generics. Let's compare 2 different medications. Enbrel, which is an anti-inflammatory, it costs 40% more in the United States than it does in other countries. And another medication, Harvoni, which is a hepatitis C treatment, it costs 30% more. It's $31,618 on average in the U.S., where it costs $23,000 in comparable countries. That's a pretty big difference. So, why are prescription drugs so expensive in the United States? I'll provide 5 reasons and give some discussion around each one. Reason number 1, the U.S. government doesn't negotiate prices with pharmacies as other countries do. When Medicare Part D was introduced in 2003, a provision was added to the rule that made it illegal for the federal government to negotiate. In virtually every other comparable country, the established government negotiates the cost of drugs for its citizens. This is typically due to single-payer systems, meaning the government pays most, if not all, of the healthcare bills. Remember, in the United States, the government only covers around 1/3 of the total cost for its citizens. A change is coming. Because of the 2022 Inflation Reduction Act, the U.S. government will now have the right to negotiate drug prices on some high-priced medications for Medicare beneficiaries. This will start in 2026. Reason number 2, lack of government regulation. While it may seem as if the U.S. government is incredibly involved in healthcare, it is not when compared to other countries. In many other parts of the world, governments regulate how much medications can cost. Here are some examples of these costs. The European Union. Those member states make decisions about pricing when a new drug enters the market. Hospitals in Austria work out discounts for high-cost drugs to keep outpatient medical costs stable. In Canada, there's a patented medicine prices review board that caps the price of a medication based on its price in other countries. The U.S. does not set similar rules. Therefore, pharmaceutical companies set the prices for medications at their will. This leads to high prices, especially for innovative or unique drugs. Reason number 3. Healthcare costs, especially medications, are rising faster than inflation, even with today's high inflation rates. Reason number 4. There's a gap in research across comparative drugs. While providers know that patients want to avoid high drug prices, the main goal is to take care of their patients. While it's easy to find research about a particular drug, it's much harder to find studies that compare brand name drugs against each other. Without the data, providers are reluctant to prescribe a less expensive drug. Reason number 5, drug patents and exclusivity. Higher drug prices are often the result of drug patents that pharmaceutical companies hold. Strategic drug patenting prevents companies that make generic drugs from competing. So the question remains if drug costs will really reduce. Will the Inflation Reduction Act truly reduce the cost of medications? Possibly, but I don't think so. Let me explain my skepticism using a metaphor, a Star Wars metaphor. Okay, let's say I have a business where I manufacture Star Wars Jawa action figures. I started my business in the United States and I am successfully selling 1,000 a year at $10 each. $10,000 a year might sound great, but my factory cost me $4,000 or $4 each. And shipping each figure cost $2,000 or $2 each. So really, I made about $4,000 or $4 each. Suddenly, a Canadian distributor contacts me and wants to sell my Jawas in Canada. They offer me $6 per figure. While it sounds low, after I do some accounting, I realize that there will be no additional factory costs. I already paid for that. Well, that saves me $4 a figure. And that shipping will be cut in half, so I save an extra $1 per figure there. So now I'm making a tidy $5 per action figure compared to the $4 I'm making in America. Now I'm selling a total of 2,000 figures, 1,000 in the United States, 1,000 in Canada. But my take home is now $9,000. The next year, I find out that some of my US customers are visiting a Canadian store and they find a cheaper Jawa action figure. They're incensed and want me to lower my prices in the US. What are my options? Especially if my family is now dependent on the $9,000 I've been making. If I reduce my US prices, then I'll have to increase my Canadian prices, and then I'll lose that business. Bottom line, I'm running a business that needs to make money. I either need to expand my business, so find new countries that want Jawa action figures, or I can lower my prices to kind of keep the product moving with more, or I'll need to strategize on how to reduce my costs, or work to raise prices slowly for some markets and lower slowly for others. Let's bring this back to healthcare. Pharmaceutical companies are designed to invest heavily in research to find drugs that work. Once they stumble across the unicorn drug, they rely on their accountants to figure out how to price the drug. This is based on the size of the population needing the drug. Is it curative or does it merely control symptoms? Is it short-term or is it long-term? All of these companies take a lot of risk developing a drug, and then, as capitalism dictates, they will make as much money as they can while they can. Despite all the skepticism, there are ways to save money on prescription drugs in the US today. Even while prescription medications are considerably more expensive, here are a few ways that you too can save money. Number 1, ask your healthcare provider about cheaper options, especially once generic versions of drugs are available. There may be less expensive choices and options out there. Make sure your insurance covers your particular medication. If not, contact them to find a similar treatment they do cover. Number 2, coupon shopping. Manufacturer assistance programs or coupons can lower your prices. If you're purchasing a brand name drug, pharmaceutical companies often offer coupons or patient assistance programs. Be sure to check with your particular prescription or look online. Number 3, purchase a 90-day supply. Sometimes by purchasing a larger supply on your medication, you can cut your costs. Just make sure to clear it with your insurer. To fill a 90-day supply, you need a new prescription from your healthcare provider. Number 4, use a mail-order pharmacy. Private insurance and Medicare may offer discounts if you fill your prescriptions through their preferred mail-order pharmacies. This can be especially helpful for generic drugs. And last but not least, use an online pharmacy. But do so with caution. Online pharmacies can provide good deals, but just be wary of the too good to be true offers. As is always the case, please don't make any changes to your care without checking with your provider first. If you enjoyed today's class, please click on the subscribe button below. If you have suggestions for future episodes, please leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching Healthcare 101. I'm Professor Sean. Until next time, stay well and stay informed.